Hi everyone, welcome to It's Canon, a series of reviews where we take a look at Bionicle models that are either fan-made or never got an official set release. Today we're going to take a look at Helryx. The figure was designed by the Underscore Double. The mask was designed by Mr. N. As well, the mask in my case was modeled by Galva, all in the year of 2020, for TTV's Canon contests, number 1, the first, where it was voted the winner and became canonized within the Bionicle story. Before we get into the review, quick disclaimer. Any or all of these Canon models are open to inaccuracies. I try my best to build these as accurate to the source pictures as possible. If you want to build this model, instructions will be linked in the description below. So without any further ado, on to the review. Helryx here is the first Toa ever created by the Great Beings, and was never a Matoran. Originally starting as part of the Hand of Artaka, she worked to keep the peace within the Matoran universe. Later, after the Hand was disbanded, Helryx would be the founding member and leader of the Order of Mata Nui, an organization dedicated to carrying out the will of Mata Nui. Through her time running the Order, Helryx accomplished many things, such as learning how to apply mental shielding, a skill which prevented other beings from reading the minds of the user. She was also present when the Toa Mata were created, and briefed them on their purposes for existing, as well as assigned them to train with Hydraxin. Once the time came to reawaken the Great Spirit, Helryx assigned the Toa Nuva to begin preparations, by completing her chores list. She would also induct Mazika, as well as Krakua, into the Order of Mata Nui. She would design and gift the Swamp Strider to Mazika. She would inform Takanuva about the coming dangers that the Toa Nuva would face in Karda Nui, and would send him to go aid them. She would create the Federation of Fear to go free Miserix, as well as put the Shadowed One in his place, after a Dark Hunter assault just off the shore of Zaya. After a good bit of story jumping and character placement, Helryx would travel to the core processor of the Great Spirit robot, accompanied by Kitongu, where Pterodax would threaten her and a number of other beings. Eventually, she and the others would be jettisoned into space by Pterodax. They survived thanks to Liwa, who created an air bubble, and then Vezon, who was able to pull them into a fortress located on Bodo Magna, using the Olmec fused to the back of his head. Helryx and the group would then be ambushed by Valika, after he planted a bomb to kill her and the other members. Helryx made her debut appearance within the book Bionicle World, as the main narrator, detailing important information about numerous locations within the Matoran universe, as well as some of the inhabitants that live on the various islands. She would also make a brief appearance within the book Bionicle Legends number 10, Swamp of Secrets. After that, the rest of her appearances would be in a large number of story serials, including Destiny War, Dwellers in Darkness, Reign of Shadows, and even the Toa Nuva's blog. Taking a look at the model, Helryx is one of the smaller Canon models. Starting at the feet, they're just Mata feet connected to a small assembly that holds on these blue Robo-Rider heads, as well as the connector that connects to the knee. The upper leg is simple enough, being a ball joint, 2 lift arms, and a connector that leads to the torso. There's also a rubber hose on the left leg that connects from the back of her knee to her hip. The torso of Helryx is built around a Mata foot, which uses a number of connectors around back to attach all the limbs. There's also 2 rubber hoses that leads to and connect into the mask. And around back, there is a Mata head which has a hose sticking out of it, and it connects to the left forearm. Speaking of the arm, Helryx's arms are, no surprise, pretty simple, using a few connectors, a pneumatic T, and a hinge for the base of the arm, and it's decorated with a blue Mata head. The lower arm, at its core, is made of a few axles and some connectors, and it's covered up by a blue Karapar armor piece, and the right arm has a small rubber hose as extra decoration. And then you have the hand, which is a standard Mata hand with 2 axles as fingers. Moving up to the head, Helryx wears the Great Mask of Psychometry, which allows the user to learn the history of any object that the user touches, though this power doesn't work on living beings. And it mounts to the head via an axle, and the hoses plug into the inserts on the front of the mask. Give me a sec, I'll get it. Lastly, Helryx is shown with two accessories, that being her mace and her shield. The mace is just made of a few axles, connectors, and these spiked pieces, and it all looks good. And her shield is just two Technic panels slapped together with an added connector so she can hold it. And both mount to her hand by sliding the connector over one of her fingers. Alright, articulation wise for Helryx, we're going to start at the feet as usual. Back up and adjust the focus. Alright, so the foot is on a ball joint and you can go forward that much, back only that much. Ankle tilt wise, you can only tilt about that much before it starts pulling off the ball joint. And then you can get, let's see, that much rotation before it hits this axle here in the back of the leg. For the knee, you can straighten out that much and you get that much bent, so just shy of 45 degrees. The hips here, let's move the arms out of the way. The hips are on ball joints with the connectors oriented this way, and so the legs can kick forward that far, which is good. They can kick out of the way, arm, come on, back that far, and then you can only kick out that far, which actually, this is good. This is pretty good. And then you get full rotation. Well, okay, we're doing that. We're doing that. This leg cannot get the full rotation because of this tube here that is connected to the hip and the back of the knee. So once you rotate it, the tube starts twisting and you won't be able to go farther after a bit. So that is just there, but you still do get a great range of our rotation there, and you can still kick forward and backward that much. So the tube doesn't hinder anything, but it is there. There's nothing at the torso whatsoever. The shoulders, you have a ball joint here, and so you can go up about that far before the connector hits with the Mata foot, and you can go down that far. You can move the arm all the way around. Because of the tube that goes from this arm here to the back of the figure, this arm can't go all the way around. Again, same idea as with this tube. Because of how it... great. Just great. Because of how it's built, you do get a swivel at the upper arm, so that rotates there and has a tendency to fall off. Yeah, there it goes, just like that. Very easy to fall off. You can adjust this Mata head as it is on a clip there, so you can adjust it like so, and you can also rotate it with the arm swivel. And then for the elbow, you have a hinge piece, so you can straighten it out that far and then bend the elbow 90 degrees. And then for the hand, you have this. Oh, great. This is going great. For the hand, you have a standard Mata hand, and that is also a locking piece there, so you can lock it like that. And then in order to get the full articulation, you have to disengage it, and then you get your full rotation hinge and all that. Now, I want to quickly mention that these two pieces here do collide, so you will have to align it very, very well in order to get it to slide in and click like so. And this arm keeps wanting to fall off. Jeez. So, yeah, that is the arm. And then for the head, you have a ball joint here at the base of the Mata foot here. And so you can look up that much. You can look down that much. You can look side to side that much, both ways. And then you also get a bit of head tilt. So yeah, that's the head. It's not too well articulated, mainly because of how close the pieces are. But yeah, that is articulation for Helryx. Alright, the issues with this model. Oh boy. The big issue with Helryx is she is very precariously built. and can fall apart without a moment's notice. And this is most prevalent at the arms, where the hinge piece and the pneumatic T connect, as there's only about maybe 1 to 2 millimeters of friction between the two pieces. For anyone not fluent in metric, 1 millimeter is about 3/64 of an inch. And this issue is amplified when she's wielding her weapons because of the extra weight. This issue is also prevalent on her back where the Mata head mounts, where the connections between the head, hose, and the back are only about a thin lift arm's worth. So there's not enough axle hole for the head to connect to the back, all while the hose connects into the headpiece. So more often than not, when handling this figure, either the head will come off or the hose will come out. And that's not even if the arms fall off first. I've also had problems with the hoses on her torso. When adjusting the head, they have a tendency to pull out of the clips on her shoulders, which kinda ruins the look. Oh, and did I mention that the Mata heads on the shoulders also fall off? Well, they do too, because they're just a clip connection. Now, if you want to build this model for yourself from scratch, some of the more noteworthy parts that may be harder to find or more expensive are the blue Robo Rider heads. This only came in one set, and that set only came with one of these. So these parts have become very sought after thanks to this figure. The blue car part armor, again, these only came in one set. But that set did come with two of these, so they aren't as difficult to get as the Robo Rider heads I mentioned earlier. The long rubber hose, these usually aren't too hard to find, but if you want to get one in good quality, the price is something you're going to want to keep an eye on. And the mask. Now this is a 3D printed part, which you will have to print either yourself or by a third party. And I did have to paint this mask to match Lego's blue. You can see the paint I used in the bottom corner here. And lastly, if you're looking to get this mask, I will put links in the description to some available options for you to choose from. Alright, size-wise, Helryx comes in at about 17 centimeters or 6 3/4 inches. From shoulder pad to shoulder pad, she's about 9 centimeters or 3.5 inches. Size-wise, here she is next to a Mata, a Metru, and an Anika. Here she is next to a Tohunga and a 2003 Matoran, specifically Maku, because we see them together in the Melting Universe. Here's Helryx next to the big bad of the Bionicle G1, Terry himself. Here she is next to the largest Anika build, Liwa, a 2005 Titan, that being Kitongu, he's one of the smaller ones, and Brutaka, if I stop fumbling him. And there's Brutaka. Here she is next to the vehicle of her design, the Swamp Strider. Here she is next to my first It's Canon video, the Tatarak. Alright, and finally, let's end off these comparisons with my entire Order of Rise marathon in one big family photo. So, here's Mazika, Takanuva, Umbra, Axon. Here is Krakua. He'll fit right there. And then we have the big man himself, Botar. Let's just squish him in there. Does he fit? Okay, he fits. Perfect. Nice. And then we have our buddy Trinuma. And then, last but not least, and my previous It's Canon video, Top Duck. So yeah, that is the entire Order of Mata Nui with what I consider an honorary member, Takanuva. Kind of. Anyway, here they all are. So, yeah. And if you want to see reviews for any of these figures, you can check out the playlist just right up here if you missed any of those videos. So overall, Helryx is not a good model. At all. She lacks the articulation and structural stability to warrant her as a good build. There's just so many issues on such a small figure. And this was designed in 2020, so it wouldn't be wrong to have expected this to be a good build, especially with all the new and more advanced parts since the end of the first generation of Bionicle. I just can't recommend this model to anyone. It's just really bad. Honestly, for me, there was a point where I thought to myself, this was a waste of parts and money. But it's Helryx, so yeah. Anyway, that's Helryx. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date with all my latest videos. And with that, I'm Legend, and I will see you all next time.